Hey, this is Cigaro, and today I'm bringing you some Dark Souls 2 PvP commentary. Despite being sick, I'm wielding the short sword plus 10, the Pyromancy flame plus 8, plus 1 for that increased attack power, the stone ring, decrease enemy poise, PvE, it's pretty much PvE, the ring of steel protection plus 1, that increases your defense, ring of binding is PvE, is for hollowing. Silver Eagle Kite Shield, I've just had it and I've been using it. It's a good, decent shield. The Bastard Sword plus 10, and the Alba Armor. And I have to say, the Alba Armor is my favorite because I like the styling of it. I think it's a really good looking armor aesthetically, but then it has a very good defense to weight ratio. As you can see, my equip load's only at 53%, and as long as you have your equip load below 70, you don't get into fat rolling, so I still have a really good roll, and I have a very low equip load, which is pretty awesome. And as you saw earlier, my player level is 112, I believe, yeah, and I've invested primarily in strength and dexterity. Now the reason I've been investing in strength and dexterity is because primarily with this build, I wanted to be a dual swordsman. And one of the things I didn't know in the beginning when I set out to make a dual swordsman was that there's a power stance that you can activate. And I have some of that footage later in the video, but basically the way the power stance works is if you have two weapons that are compatible and you meet their requirements 1.5 times, then you can activate the power stance. And basically the power stance is where you hold down for me it's Y. If you're on PlayStation, it's going to be triangle, I think. But if you hold that button down and you switch to your two-handing position of your offhand weapon, which in this case is the Bastard Sword plus 10, what happens is you get into this power stance and you shift the way you wield your weapon. And your right-handed weapon, it's normal. It attacks normally with its normal, like in this case, it's a slash and a thrust. And then your offhand weapon, which the Bastard Sword here, is a double attack. So it attacks with both the short sword and the Bastard Sword. And the L1 is kind of a horizontal slash in this example, and the L2 is kind of a double forward vertical attack, which I have some footage of a little bit later on. But anyways, earlier I mentioned that it's 1.5 times. So if you want to try to dual wield a weapon, they kind of have to swing the same, and there's not really any formula for doing that. I was testing it with whips the other day. You can power stance two whips, but you can't really power stance it with another weapon. Maybe there's another weapon out there that you can, but I haven't found it yet. But you have to have two compatible weapons, and these weapons swing. There's the power stance right there. That's the horizontal slash. Then I came out of it into the regular stance, so I could swing normally with the Bastard Sword. And I think that's kind of like, you're kind of like a switch hitter. You kind of change it up, and I think it's always good to keep the opponent guessing. I think that's what the power stance allows you to do. You can switch in and out of that power stance. When I switch to the Pyromancy flame, it automatically kicks me out of the power stance, so I'm kind of switching intuitively. I just have to remember to go back into it if I want to do some massive damage. But it's really useful. But like I was saying, the power stance, if your weapon's requirement is 20 strength, then you have to have 30 strength to power stance it. So what that means is you meet the base 20, and then you half it. 0.5 of it is 10, and then you add 20 plus 10, and you get 30. And with 30, you can power stance that weapon with another compatible weapon. So if you were wondering like what the requirements were or whatever, that's what the Future Press guide says. That's what I found to be true, and particularly useful if I want to power stance something, then I try to get that that 1.5. So I try to get the requirement plus that other 0.5. So, and then as far as the weapon choice, I've seen a lot of people like Mr. Won't Forget, or Mr. I Won't Forget, and others using dual wielding weapons that are kind of the same length. And I think there's kind of a tendency to do that because we like, as humans, I think we like uniformity. So you're like, oh sweet, I got the same length weapons. But I'm going to advise you to not use the same length weapons. Now you might say, why? Well, it's pretty simple. The Bastard Sword's a great sword, and it's on kind of the lower size and lower length of the great sword family, but it has a pretty wide swing, right? And when I have a short sword in the right hand, I compensate for the Bastard Sword's wide swing. So I can get in quick thrusting attacks, as you saw earlier, and quick slashing attacks. If you need to get in a little R1 spam, yes, I said it. If you need to get in a little R1 spam, it's good for that. So I also think that there is kind of the fact that I have the Bastard Sword in the left hand, there's kind of a left-handed build factor there. It's pretty minuscule, but it's not quite the same as having a shield in my right hand and a full-fledged sword in the left hand. But I think that it definitely will throw people for a bit of a loop because they're getting attacked from that left side instead of the right. As far as, traditional, because traditionally in Dark Souls, you expect some guy with some kind of weapon in the right hand and then, a shield in the left. What is one of the most popular builds? A claymore, so you have a great sword that can thrust, and then a shield in the left hand. Like this guy right here is a perfect example. These people are everywhere, and it's fine. Like, if you play that way, that's fine. I got no problem with that. But I do think that's a very traditional Dark Souls build, and for me, it's kind of just gets boring. Now, something I would like to mention, if you are thinking about doing the dual wielding and maybe doing the power stance, consider having a shield in one of your hands. Because just because you're not using a shield, and perhaps you're raising your agility, you're increasing your invincibility frames by doing that, so when you roll, you have a few more frames of invincibility. You can't just rely on, dodging and dashing and stuff like that. I don't think you should. There's the two-handed power stance vertical I was talking about earlier. You can't just rely on iframes to survive. Get a shield. It's not a bad idea. That's why I have the Silver Eagle Kite shield in that offhand there behind the Bastard Sword. Is because it's just a really solid option and it gets the job done. And I find that when people have large weapons or they're slow, they look like they might verge into the fat rolling category, then I try to get in there as close as possible, which a lot of people don't suggest, and then start swiping at them and using the gap in their swings to take advantage of the gap in their swings with the short sword. And I think that's a very good strategy. And a lot of people, I don't have tons of footage. There weren't a lot of people in this particular batch of video or invasions that had long weapons per se. A lot of them had great swords and long swords or whatever, but none of them had any just huge, outrageous, ultra great swords or hammers or anything. But it is a good tactic to get your shield going close. Briefly, I'd like to talk about Pyromancy. As you can see, this build kind of relies heavily on Pyromancy. See, look, switching to the shield because he's got the long weapons, and I want to punish him for those long swings. And man, I don't know what that is, but that thing swings. It looks like a twin blade the way it swings. Yeah, I thought it was a spear. But the Pyromancy, it's if you're a warrior, if you're a strength build, or you're maybe like a dex build, it's always good to have some kind of ranged battle, some kind of way to engage in ranged combat. And I think it's really important that you have a ranged option. I find that Pyromancy is a good option because the only way you can raise it is with a faith and intelligence boost, or you can use a fire seed to power up the flame. So all your damage is based upon finding fire seeds and leveling up the flame. And if you do that, it's not a heavy investment. You don't have to invest in faith or magic, because the bonus, or faith or intelligence, because the magic is, or because the bonus is so minuscule to fire that you can just upgrade the flame with fire seeds. But anyways, I'm enjoying Dark Souls 2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you some ideas. Let me know if you have any questions about power stancing. I'd love to see some more power stancing builds. Hopefully this is the first of many videos. But I'm going to end here. You can enjoy the rest of this nice little footage here. This one was hilarious, I'll tell you. And have a great day. Come check out my videos, and hopefully I'll see you again. This is Cigaro, and I'll be signing out.